today's video topic efficacy guideline. The work carried out by the ICH under the efficacy heading is concerned with the design, conduct, safety, and reporting of clinical trials. It also covers novel types of medication derived from biotechnological processes and the use of pharmacogenetic and pharmacogenomics techniques to produce better targeted medicines. First is E1, clinical safety for drugs used in long-term treatment. Second is E2A, E2F, pharmacovigilance. Next is E3, clinical study reports, which contains structure and content of clinical study report. E3Q and ASR1, questions and answers of structure and component of clinical study report. E4 is dose response studies, dose response information to support drug registration. E5 is ethnic factors. E6 is good clinical practice. E7 is clinical trials in geriatric population. E8 is general consideration for clinical trials. E9 is statistical principles for clinical trials. Next, E10 is choice of control group in clinical trials. E11 to E11A, clinical trials in pediatric population. E12 is clinical evaluation by therapeutic category. E14 is clinical evaluation of QT. E15 is definition in pharmacogenetics and pharmacogenomics. E16 is qualification of genomic biomarkers. E17 is multi-regional clinical trial. E18 is genomic sampling. E19 is safety data collection. E20 is adaptive clinical trials. First is E1, clinical safety drug used to long-term treatment. In the ICH harmonized guidelines was finalized under step 4 in October 1994. This document gives recommendation on the number of patients and duration of exposure for the safety evaluation of drug intended for the long-term treatment of non-life threatening conditions. Next is pharmacovigilance. In pharmacovigilance, E2A is clinical safety data. This document gives standard definition and terminology for key aspects of clinical safety reporting. It also gives guidance on mechanism for handling expedited reporting of adverse drug reaction in the investigational phase of drug development. Next is E2B, clinical safety data management. Clinical safety data management, data elements of transmission of individual case safety reports. It was reformed to conduct revision of E2B guideline in 2003 and May 2005. A revised guideline was released for public consultation. The ICS steering committee had taken a key decision that technical specification should no longer be developed solely with ICS but should be created in collaboration with standard development organization. And next is E2B R3 Q and AS, clinical safety data management, data elements for concepts. In July 2013, the ICS steering committee endorsed the establishment of the IWG, assist with the implementation of the E2B implementation guideline, which helped the facilitate transition from E2B, including its tasks and supports. Next is electronic transmission. Transmission of individual case safety report ICSR. In July 2013, the ICS steering committee endorsed the establishment of IWG on E2B to progress implementation activities and ensure transmission for E2B R2 to E2B R3. The E2B R3 implementation package quality and assurance and further information is available on. Yeah. Next is periodic benefit risk evaluation report, which is called as E2C. The ICS harmonized guideline was finalized under step 4. Based on the comments made by the members of the expert working group on SIOMs, V recommendations and the pharma efficacy working document, and addendum has been finalized and released September 4 in February 2003. Next is E2C questions and answers periodic benefit and risk evaluation report. The revision of E2C has introduced the new concept and principle linked to an evaluation of the traditional PSUR from the internal safety report to cumulative benefit risk report, and with the change in focus from individual case report to more aggregate data evaluation. The supplementary question and answer document finalized under September 4. Next is E2D post approval safety data management, which is definitions and standard for expenditure reporting. E2D R1, which is approval of safety data management definitions expenditure report. Post approval safety data management, which is contains definition and standards for expenditure reporting. E2E pharmacovigilance planning. This guideline is intended to aid in the planning of pharmacovigilance activities, especially in the preparation for the early post-marketing period of the new drug. This guideline, the term drug denotes chemical entity, a biotechnology derived from the vaccine. The main focus of guidelines is on a safety specification of pharmacovigilance plan that might be submitted at the time of license application. Development Safety Update Report E2F. The Development Safety Update Report, which is DSUR proposed in the guideline, is intended to be common standard for periodic reporting on drugs under development, including marketed drugs that under further study. Among the ICS regions, the main focus of the DSUR is data and findings from intravenous clinical trials. Following the completion of E2F Step 4 guideline, the E2F EWG developed DSUR. Next is E3 Structure and Content of Clinical Study Report. Next is Questions and Answers, Structure and Content of Clinical Study Report. Dose Response E4 Dose Response Information to support drug registration. This document gives recommendation on the design and conduct of studies to assess the relationship among dose, drugs, concentration in blood, and clinical response throughout the clinical development of the new drug. Ethnic factors in the acceptability of foreign clinical data. Next is E5, which contains question and answer of ethnic factors in the acceptability of foreign clinical data. Good clinical practices E6. This harmonized guideline has been amended in 2016 with an integrated addendum to encourage implementation of improved and more efficient approaches to clinical trial design, conduct, oversight, recording and reporting, while continuing to ensure human subject protecting and reliability of trial results, standards regarding electronic records and essential documents. Next is E7 clinical trials in geriatric population. Next is general consideration for clinical trials. E9 is statistical principle for clinical trials. E10 is choice of control group in clinical trials. E11 to E12 11A clinical trials in pediatric population. E12 is clinical evaluation by therapeutic category. E14 is clinical evaluation of quality QT. E15 is definition in pharmacogenetics and pharmacogenomics. E16 is qualification of genomic biomarkers. E17 is multi-regional clinical trials. E18 is genomic sampling. E19 is safety data collection. E20 is adaptive clinical trials. The E20 EWG is working on the development of the new E20 guideline on adaptive clinical trials, on the design, conduct, analysis and interruption of adaptive clinical trials that provides a transparent and harmonized set of principles of the regulatory